11月26日下午，升学留学咨询服务机构 Oxford Academica 在多伦多举办了一场英美名校大洋两岸的抉择专题讲座。讲座吸引了近50名学生及学生家长到场。中英双语精彩的演讲，深入浅出的剖析，踊跃的问答，气氛活泼热烈。这场独家讲座的3位讲员分别是英国和美国顶尖名校近期的优秀毕业生，风华正茂。他们用亲身的经历和体验，详细阐述了美国藤校与英国牛津、剑桥等学校的教学观有什么差异，升学有哪些要求，华裔学生如何逆袭选择自己的梦想学校，如何有效规划暑期与课外活动，令招生官青睐学生的成就，如何在文书书写中精准定位自己等与升学留学密切相关的话题，并解答了学生和家长关心的诸多问题。讲员 Cloud Chmielewska 和 Jefferson Chen 均是英国牛津大学的优秀学生，同时也是 Oxford Academica 的联合创始人。Cloud 出生于波兰，中学时获全额奖学金到英国利物浦留学，后进入牛津大学最负盛名的哲学、政治、经济学专业的本科求学。该专业被称为世界领袖的摇篮，多位英国首相和多个国家的元首领导人都曾就读该专业。目前 Cloud 已辞去英国伦敦某公司科创企业战略主管一职，专注于 Oxford Academica 的全球拓展。Jefferson 则出生于中国，幼年时随家人移居加拿大安省，并从列治文山市的高中毕业，申请进入牛津大学，获得生物无机化学的学士和硕士学位。目前在英法两国的生物科技投资领域任职，同时兼顾 Oxford Academica 的事业。另一位讲员 Wendy Dong 也出生于中国，幼年时随家人移居加拿大安省，从列治文山市的高中毕业后，进入美国藤校宾夕法尼亚大学沃顿商学院金融本科求学，目前在纽约从事私募投资基金的工作，同时他也是 Oxford Academica 的资深顾问。Oxford Academica 是一家服务全球学生的新锐升学留学咨询机构，总部位于英国伦敦，在欧洲、北美、亚洲都有毕业于欧美名校的顾问。联系方式admissions@oxfordacademica.com.
Probably the most important thing you can do in terms of applications is to understand how important they are for the course of your life. It really opens so many opportunities for you. It definitely opened for me. I would also probably talk for Jeff that it also opened opportunities for him as well. And a lot of times people would say that this is out of your reach, or it's a dream university. And I believe that with enough preparation and with enough guidance, you can achieve what you set your mind to if you have enough time to do it. And basically, this is why we're here, to make sure you can achieve your own goals and open your opportunities and unlock your future at the end of the day.
我很同意Cloud 刚刚说的这一点。我觉得，当然你在15、16岁的时候可能不知道你申请大学的时候对你之后的人生影响有多大，但是我很赞成的这一点是，永远没有就是开始的很早就是 overly early， 没有这种情况，因为的确这个申请大学的不仅仅是你要做考试，更多的是你要对自己有一定的自我认识。然而很多情况下孩子们就是自己是一个人，就是要做这些事情。我觉得在申请的时候有一个像一个大哥哥大姐姐的时候，和你一起就是同步前进是很重要的。因为到了最后你入了大学的时候，的确你会意识到你的人生是会有就是从之前是完全是变化的，但是你在15岁的时候还没有意识到，所以我也很赞成这一点。
我先跟你们说说我们的故事吧。Let's start with our story. So how did Oxford Academica actually come about? So we met, Cloud and I met at the University of Oxford, doing a consulting project in Nigeria, actually, in 2018. There we visited the north of the country in several states where we worked for the Federal Ministry of Energy. That's sort of how this story started, a desire to create impact. When we were in Nigeria, we saw a lot of problems not being responded to, a lot of fundamental needs of young women not being heard. And that's what prompted us to start Lafia Nigeria. You'll hear about that nonprofit in a bit when we describe a bit more about our journey thus far. But when we started doing this nonprofit, what we consistently see is that only looking at healthcare at some aspects is not enough. We need to look more holistically. And for us, it's very important to look at education, because that's what we think is the great equalizer for everyone. And we started reflecting on our own journeys, right? Cloud being a first-generation Polish, wide-eyed student who got a full scholarship going to the UK. Me being born in China, came to Canada, went back to China, back here, and then went to the UK. What we saw was that opportunity was truly changed by attaining education. And so that's what we set out to do, and that's what we are here to do, for you to unlock your opportunity at Oxford Academica. And today we're going to show you a side between the UK and the US to really showcase how, what these systems are. It's so complicated, so complex, to break it down.
At the top, you're going to see US and UK universities. Here at this point, this was Oxford, California Institute of Technology, and Harvard as a top universities. Why is that? There are three main reasons. Triple will expand on this in a second, but it's mostly world-class teaching, great professors, lots of other potentials for getting involved in research opportunities, as well as amazing graduate opportunities afterwards. Like, the whole world is open to you if you can have all those names, basically, or one of those names on your CV. A lot of times, employers will gonna go and try to organize their opportunities for you at college campuses to make sure that you can go and choose them. So it really changes kind of perspective on your future.
是因为第一，教育是世界一流，这是无可置疑的。为什么呢？因为全世界最好的教学导师们全部都被挖到了牛津、剑桥、常青藤这些好大学。第二呢是因为学术性的的 research 调研也是世界一流的。你在大学1年级的时候，已经可以接触到很多的学术性的机会，所以大学是在这里。但可能跟很多家长在这里是为什么来到这里呢？是因为来到这些大学之后，学生们毕业之后的机会也相当于大门是敞开的。很多世界上大的公司不管是投资银行或者是咨询机构，都会在敲门青睐所有这些大学的毕业生来这里。
We have about a 9% admission rate for international students. I think the rate depends whether you're applying for early decision or regular decision. Penn specifically puts a lot of focus on ED, and so definitely there's a higher admission rate, especially for Canadians, for early decision there. So that's definitely something to consider when you're thinking about the process as to when to apply for early and when to apply for regular decision. As Jeff and Cloud mentioned, the admission rate the annual course fee for the state schools are a little bit higher. I think they've gone up over the past few years. But there's something that I did want to mention was that Penn is on a need-blind basis for Canadian students. And I think that's something that a lot of Canadians don't actually know when they're applying, that they actually do factor in your current financial position when you're applying, and that does not affect whether or not you're going to get accepted. And so when you're applying, make sure that if you have issues with tuition, that you make that clear, because especially for Canadian students, not international, because international is not need-blind. But for Canadians, it actually does matter. So you should definitely take on the financial aid if you can, or if you need to. And then we have about 10,000 undergraduate students across 4 different schools. One thing that's a little bit different about Penn is if you're applying to Harvard or MIT, you apply to a general program, so everybody starts off without being in specific schools. But at Penn, you actually apply to a specific school. So we have 4 undergraduate programs. The Wharton School, the College of Arts and Science, which includes basically a bunch of the sciences and then literature, art programs. And then the School of Nursing, which is actually the top nursing school or undergraduate program in the country.
你是只写为什么你想要申请你想要的一个专业，很多时候你直接就到了直接拿到 offer 这个 stage， 所以相对于美国大学来说呢是简单很多。但是如果你是想申请，比如说牛津大学、剑桥大学，可能很多人家长说 OK， 如果我要申请英国，当然要去那些好一点的大学，是吧？很多时候呢，你还有中间这2个阶段。包括你如果是想去申请英国来读医科，因为英国的 medicine 的医科是可以让你直接进入的，你也是要在10月15号的时候 apply， 然后要做很多中间这2个阶段。第一是英国它本身的一种标准化考试，像 imagine like a UK SAT，right？ That's what the TSA is， 是更逻辑性的。然后第二呢，也是你要来做面试。面试你的人呢，很多时候呢，就是你将来的 tutor， 将来要教你的这个教授，他会选择你要不要来这里读。然后后来到interview 之后呢，你会逐渐收到 offer。收 offer 的时候呢，很多时候 offer 呢是有条件性的，是说比如说你要考试要考到什么样的分数。所以呢，英国你可以看到很多面试到考试的时候呢，是更注重于学术性的有更多的偏重。当然，对很多华人学生来说呢，可能这是更有利的，因为很多时候父母们都会说 ，OK， 你要做这些工作、这些考试，所以很多时候你有很多的工作在之前已经做了，然后呢，很多时候你是对你的学术是特别学科也是特别有兴趣的，所以很多时候英国呢就会更适于这一类的学生。
What if I'm missing important deadline? What if I don't do it that I'm supposed to be doing? And thirdly, how do I find time for all of this? I probably also both professors of Jeff and one thing like they are incredible, right? Like they are 100% they are. But like, how do you even find time to do all of this in your probably already busy schedule? So I'm just gonna go for another one. So that's why that's where we're coming in, and that's where Academica we have the answers that you need, and we work basically personally with you. My experience is that I used to work with a lot of global agencies, probably heard those names, or even probably spoke to some of the people there. And what I've noticed is they treat their students as like numbers to add up, both in terms of sales and in terms of basically what to do with them. And what I hear a lot from my previous students is that they didn't really feel like they were special, they were heard. And that's what we're trying to change with OEC. So our process, we're starting with understanding what is your goal, what is your success. And then we're writing your success path. So specifically, what are the timelines, what are the activities, what are the extracurriculars, what you're supposed to be doing. We obviously do it while talking to you and understanding what you're interested in, how much time you have, and so on. You're choosing your dream schools, and then we are teaching your story. So this is actually taking part in those extracurriculars, which can help you reach out to the best professors in the world to get engaged in the research, or apply to some business internships before you need to apply. Afterwards, you look at your tests. We also help you prepare for the SATs, ACTs, any entry exams, anything basically you need to get to your close.
刚刚说的是理论，最后怎么样能让我来应用，或者是我的孩子来应用，来让他能够进入到他心仪的大学呢？很多时候我们在听到很多家长说的是 ，OK， 但是我的孩子，你们这边说这些，但我刚刚去了另外一个地方，另外一个学校，他又说又有另外的情况，或者是我的老师又跟我说，我要做这个，或者是他同学的二姑妈的侄子说，我要做这些考试，我怎么样才能选到最好的advice 最好的建议呢？或者是很多时候说我的孩子已经要学这么多的东西了，是不是？他课程也排得很满，怎么样才能够找时间让他来真正的做，让他来最后申请最有影响力的活动呢？很多时候我们会听到很多这些情况，然后在 Oxford Academica 我们与众不同的地方呢，是我们 不对待学生是对待数字一样。我和 Cloud 之前有很多经历过的学生呢，是有教学过的学生呢，他们说在很多可能更世界上最大的这些机构来说，他们的反馈很多是一致性的呢，是说我觉得自己在那里像一个数字一样，我是学生48，然后我在1月份有3个 meeting 这样子。我们对这种运作很反感，因为我们作为 Oxford Academica 是为学生来服务的，我们是真正的为学生的成功来运营的，所以我们在走着这一系列，刚刚 Cloud 跟你们说的录的时候呢，每一个环节都是为学生为中心来做准备的。然后因为是这样的，我们对待每一个学生也是更 personalized， 更就是专注的来想他们的故事是怎么样，那我们怎么样能够有效的来对大学来沟通。当然我们这个机构不仅仅是我们这3个人，因为 OK 可能你说你在这里做的说但是我是想去 I don't know 我想去康奈尔读建筑专业是吧，但和你的化学或者商业或者是 PPE 有什么关系呢？所以我觉得我们和其他地方与众不同的呢，是我们自己个人的network 是整个世界的来做it's really worldwide， 所以我们能够保证是，如果你是真正想是在某个大学读某个专业，我们能够找到能够在这些专业真正自己成功进入过的人来辅导你在每一个环节的成功，所以这就是我们的不同，然后我们是为学生一心的来考虑这种情况。Thank you very much for sticking with us till now. We promised we are going to do a comprehensive question and answer session because we know we did just a very, very basic introduction right now.
Will you be able to do, if my child is interested, will you be able to do a free assessment with just one family, for one time, and just give us a clear learning path?
Yes.
And also give us a clear the price and the learning path,
Yes.
how long it would take him at his level to be reached that.
Yeah, exactly. So we are basically would find some time, talk about this, do our own diagnostic, basically looking at current grades and aspirations and what are the challenges possible face. We then basically do first of all a more initial, but then we're going to go into more detail basically about the timelines and what is going to be happening each stage. And based on that, we are doing specific pricing, and that's completely free of charge. We want to make sure that you have all the information you may need before you decide to work with us, because we know there's a lot of people who are doing similar things to what we're doing, but what we'll do, we're very transparent about the process and about what we're putting into this. So you are sure you can get the most value out of your time that you're putting, your time and money that you're putting into this.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, you got our whole process basically bang on, right? We're doing a consultation to understand the student first before deciding, what is the course that's appropriate for the student, right? And also, what does the student want in terms of their input, right? Before we put together this proposal. So yeah, that's exactly what we would do. No worries. Yeah.
And then also, if you have any questions afterwards, and you're maybe not from me, or I want to maybe apply somewhere in Canada, and this is not something interesting, or I have enough help I need, but you still have some questions, feel free to reach out to us. We are genuinely very excited and very passionate to make sure that we can achieve your goals, and we would love to make sure you can do as much as you need for us to do.
And that's why we stand here giving this seminar, right?
Exactly.
Because we care about student success.
I just have a quick one. Yeah. So, how early do you normally suggest us to get in touch with you, for this kind of orientation?
Yeah, that's an excellent question.
Great question. The long story short is as early as possible. We will make sure.
1 year or 2 year early or what?
Yes, basically no. So usually the application, the easy period probably 3 to 2 years before the application is going to be a question cycle. Because a lot of times the last year when you're kind of preparing all the essays and everything is very busy. Last year university is last year high school is very busy. The year before is usually good, even sometimes the year before after that. The way that it's working on our pricing structure, we want to ensure that you're not just sitting there paying year after year just because it's it's the most out of it. It's just we can make the most impact if we have more time. So we can help, for example, guide to specific activities and extracurriculars and so on. But we wouldn't obviously charge the entire admission process rate if you're just, having once a month meeting to figure out whether you are doing the right thing. So we would suggest getting in touch earlier, at the age of 14, 15 times would be quite good to even just have a conversation, and then you can stay in touch, or you can decide to start working with us on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think I speak for all of us here. When you're actually approaching this monstrous process of application, there's never too much time. You're never like, oh man, thanks, I just wrote 20 admission essays, no sweat, so ready to go back to my really intense high school course, right? So even though I think we're quite good at managing our timelines, it was still incredibly stressful, the entire process through, and we started very, very early. So yeah, definitely, especially for the US, we recommend really getting in touch earlier with us, because yeah, this is it's a Herculean effort. So
in the UK, we would recommend the latest, basically, not when you're applying. Would be September of the year before the year you're applying. So if you want to go not this year but next year to university, you probably should have started a few months ago. Basically, 2 years before you're starting the university would be the ideal latest date to get in touch on that. But again, if you're in touch before, that's always better to have more information than less. If you also have any questions later on about you would like to have additional webinars of, let's say, personal statements or essays or anything more maybe about extracurricular activities, let us know. We'll be happy to arrange it either in person or online, so we can also have specific information you need as well. We're happy to.
Yeah, so get our email down for sure. Send us one word I want updates. We'll put you on the list.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.